Hello, baby dolls. Look at you. There is some dire situation with the HEX on Ethereum price. So I'm giving everybody an update. So the latest update is the alleged scammers who got given 800 million HEX from GodWhale. Yes, 800 million. They have now made a public tweet. Richard Hart, we would like to chat with you. We don't want the price of something we all love to fall. Hashtag HEX forever. We don't know what that means. But just to catch you up on the story, GodWhale sacrificed 800 million HEX to their project, pHEX. And I've been tweeting here just to show you, it is kind of shady. This GodWhale's transaction here, 8.1 million, that he gave 800 million away. Now that's a very large number, especially considering the bids are only a couple of million. So unfortunately, this is just a situation we're dealing with. And this tweet I've got scammers on them. Look, pHEX, their idea is to do a stable coin backed by silver. They've been in the industry, they've been in Pulse Chain since like 2 years. We don't know exactly what's going on, but it does not look like it's very clean. They've been banning people from Twitter, not answering questions. We don't know exactly what's going on. They sold only 10 million HEX. So just to clarify, I have the address here. They've only sold 10 million, right? They've sold 10 million. They still have 826 million. But the price of HEX has gone down tremendously. But I just want you to know, this is not the full real price. The full price is what we really want to watch. This is total HEX. Now, obviously, this has capitulated down to like 1.8 cents for a combined price. And it's everybody running over each other, predicting that this thing is just going to capitulate down to zero. And this was all sparked by Richard Hart. He made a tweet saying that, he just made an observation. He said, oh, pHEX is... the marketer says that pHEX is worth more than eHEX, right? But you could easily say, hey, observation, yeah, it could be worth 5% more in the long run, right? So, but everybody is just, because there's fear in the market, there was a buy the rumor, sell the news for Pulse Chain. Unfortunately, all the value went to Pulse Chain itself, and then less value to pHEX, and HEX has taken a big beating. On a regular chart, looks absolutely disgusting. Right, but this is the game, friends. This is the game. This is capitulation. This is everything, right? So I've made tweets before just to show you, are they recovered from this low and Cardano? So look, it's not nice to go, hey, yeah, there's two coins out there that were able to recover from something like this. I had been accumulating eHEX. Now, obviously, I don't have my whole stack in it. I'm still in there. I would still be accumulating it depending on the plan that they produce, because obviously they can't exit. They have 800 million HEX. We don't even know, is it a real rug? They're quitting. They had a stablecoin exploit. A lot of like just not nice things been happening, right? I just want to let you know as well, in this period, this rectangle, there was 500 million HEX sold at that low. So it did take time, 2 months, and it was able to clear. So yes, they have 800 million HEX, and now it's like extremely low. So we're not sure exactly what's going to happen, but you do have options what you can do right now. So if you are really crying and you just want it to end, you could click sell right now if you'd like to. I am personally using this situation just to let you know, people are selling here just because the price is going down. People have the fear, they've been spooked, they want the price has been going down, so they keep selling. I'm still holding. I'm not going to be selling something down minus 99% because people are lost their mind right now. This is not part of the strategy or the thesis at all. So very often I'll say, hey, I think something's going somewhere in 2.5 years. And then after 14 days, it goes the other way and then people lose their mind. It's very, very common in markets. Everybody's very short term, right? But just to let you know, I would personally, my long-term ratio, I want to be 40% Pulse, 40% pHEX, 20% HEX combined. And I personally, I know this sounds crazy, I just don't want to be 0% HEX just because I don't trust Richard Hart not leaving it alone at some point in the future. Maybe it gives some sort of premium somewhere. Maybe it boosts its ratio price against pHEX. I'm not sure. I think it's good to always have some just in case, okay? But it's very clear from the Pulse Chain launch with HEX going down, it was very clear from this event, right, the Sell the News event, that the value went to Pulse Chain. The market's basically saying, hey, we want the value to go to Pulse Chain, PLS, and HEX has been bleeding, okay? So I just want to reiterate to you. So we do have the address. I've just been refreshing it. They have not sold. They've only sold 10 million HEX, and they sold it down a tiny bit. But everything else has been everybody capitulating like absolute crazy. Everybody has lost their mind, and they're just selling down because they think eHEX gone to zero. You know, I mean, it's basically near zero anyway. And a lot of people have just been running over each other. So this is what happens at the bottom. This is what happens when there's fear, everybody, and it spreads. You can't predict a specific point in time. You just say, hey, whatever this thing is, it just needs time to pass, and we'll get through it, okay? So I've been tweeting a lot of information here to show you, and I'll mention to you again. So BankEx, we don't know what they're going to do with that 800 million. They actually can't exit. They can't exit at all. There's only like 1 million, 2 million on the bids. They can't do anything with it. They're going to have to set up liquidity walls. Who knows? Maybe they'll speak to Richard Hart. Maybe OTCs over time. We don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, they said HEX forever. We don't even know what that means. Maybe they want to, it's not even confirmed to be really a rug. But I mean, like, I've just to warn you, hey, don't put any money in sacrifice. It's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to these situations. Okay, so yeah, it's unfortunate. The biggest HEX address, everybody thought it was Richard himself. Clearly, it's not, right? So this is one option I had. Obviously, this is not something to take too seriously, but this is an option. Let's say they were scammers and they said, we want to get out now. Richard could just put a wall, 4.1 million USDC wall, and they would just click exit in one go, and they'd be done with it. So that's it. They click exit, they leave, and then everything continues as it is. That's one option, right? But that might introduce a ransom risk, a moral hazard for everyone else. You know, what if other projects collect a lot of money and then rug? You know, they can't get out, but they know that Richard will bail it out, right? That's something to consider for the future as well, all right? So they haven't exited. This fear has just been, it's setting the lows. People believe that, you know, eHEX is going to zero. I want you to know as well, I know it sounds crazy, but you just got to remember, okay, Richard Hart's tweets about eHEX, where he just basically said, this is the tweet, 1 HEX on Pulse Chain is worth 1.29. So this was before the absolute mayhem capitulation. He goes, it looks like the market has chosen HEX on Pulse Chain to be more valuable than HEX on Ethereum. The first pick shows HEX going up versus eHEX. The second pick shows eHEX going down versus HEX. Yes, so he wasn't saying, hey, I think eHEX is going to zero. But look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You could tell, right? People just selling because it's red and they see the fear and the danger, and it's blood everywhere, okay? So this is very easy. He could just go on a stream and say, hey, you know, just because I think pHEX trades higher than eHEX doesn't mean that it can't trade like just at a 5% premium or a 2% premium, you know, or it could change in the future. As soon as he says that, that's it. Everything flips, right? But we have to just get rid of this time. We need to get rid of the zone of everything selling down, and it's got to be a while. So remember, at the beginning of HEX, it took, if we go back here, it took like, you know, 33 days for HEX to bottom. So we are around 30 days now. It's very weird, right? In Pulse Chain launch, we're entering near the 30-day. We're heading towards a month, and everything's going down here, right? It's just be kind of weird if that happens the same way, where it takes a month, everything dumps down, we've hit these lows, and then we round up, and it takes a while. But I want you to know these are weekly candles. So it might take a month just to get a cover, and then another month to go sideways, and another month to kind of crawl back to recovery. So that's 3 months. So yes, it doesn't sound nice, but hey, that's what it is. You know, by the end of September, by October. I know we want it to be now, but it is what it is. This is just the reality of situation of what's happened before. Okay, so this is the eHEX and pHEX ratio as well. eHEX and pHEX has gone down. So a lot of people as well make a lot of mistakes. They think just because I said eHEX is cheap here, they now believe that's it, has to go down, it has to trade at parity immediately. But that's, you know, okay, everybody's got this short-term mindset. It doesn't mean that at all, right? If you stay here, liquidity providing over time, it's probably going to beat the HEX staking yield. And you never know. I mean, over time, the pHEX value has not been gaining the value, friends. That's another thing to think about. All right. So this is just something to grasp, because a lot of people, right, they're thinking to themselves, okay, eHEX is going down. It's probably went all to pHEX, but it's actually not. It hasn't gone to pHEX at all. So where it should be, pHEX should be plus 50% higher, but it's not. Why? Well, this kind of clarifies to me, this is one of the final death capitulations. This is people exiting just because there's red candles. in eHEX, right? This is people just getting rid of it for the sake of getting rid of it. I would have liked to see if you really saw a transfer of value from eHEX to pHEX, you should have seen pHEX actually get the money. So when people cashed out their USD, their dollars, you should have seen it rotate upwards into pHEX, but they didn't. They've just cashed out and exited the system. They've just sold for the sake of selling. So this is something you have to use as like important information. You're like, wait a minute, if pHEX is the chosen one, then why aren't people rotating into it, right? Now, if you wanted to know just my thoughts generally on that, this is why I've even had this, been telling you before. I want to have a higher pulse and pulsex goal for the long term, eventually to get that ratio, to get more pulse and pulsex instead of hex. You know, pulse and pulsex are cycle 1 coins, hex is cycle 2, and probably the ratios will drift over time. I also want to remind you as well, when it comes to eHEX, all right, when it comes to eHEX, this is the thing, okay? You could have, right, you could have 1, eHEX ink farm put in. You could have 2, eHEX, pHEX farm put back in. You could have these put back in at some point, and they will change the scope of how people approach these in the future. Right now, there are no farms. Right now, there's only a pHEX farm with pulse. So it's probably incentivizing people to just go move towards it, just to see. So these tweaks and triggers, I know you can't rely on them, and it sounds very scary. It's like, hey, we're relying on a third hand, the God hand to come and do this. But yeah, this is the game, friends. This is it. This is the asymmetric upside. These are the unknown risks that are just thrown into your plate. If you want, hey, organic late cycle adoption stuff, you go with Bitcoin, you know, and then a step under that, Ethereum, right? They're not going to give you huge upside if it works out from here. So we are still in the rinsing process. We're going to wait and see if there's any update with the replying here. And just live to you now, I've had a look. Someone in the comments, thank you very much, Baby Dolls, for mentioning that they deleted the post. They deleted the post. So everybody's talking about no one does ransom money, etc., right? So did BankX delete it by Aidan McNutt? Thank you very much, sir. I love your name. You're awesome, Aidan. McNutt, Aidan, Nick. Yes, so I went to their page again. It's gone now. It's gone. So aren't you glad? You got a friend here. We'll screenshot this in 1 second to provide information from us, for them to type something like this, Hex forever. We don't know what this means. But they can't get out. They could leave a wall. That's one option. Or they could, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, friends. Okay, so once again, if you are scared and nervous, you want off the boat, just click sell and leave. Okay, that's completely fine. But for the rest of us, this is just how it is. The seas are rough, but we're going to make it. And you're going to tell mum and dad that we're going to make it, and we will be friends forever. I'll catch you in the next one, friends.